darkness. A complete void that seemed to swallow everything, the kind of darkness that makes you wonder if your eyes are even open. Silence pressed in, broken only by my own breathing. Each breath felt like a fight for life, each exhale a surrender to the dark. A voice, a whisper came from the darkness. It was faint, almost too quiet to hear, yet it sent chills down my spine. "You are already lost." The words echoed, bouncing around in my mind, leaving a trail of fear. The screen flickered, showing a skeleton-like building against storm clouds. St. Mercy Hospital. Once a place of healing, now a monument to decay. A place of healing, now a rotting corpse under a bruised sky. The air around it seemed to buzz with a sinister energy, as if the building itself was alive. "This is crazy, even for you, Jason." The words were filled with fear and frustration, a desperate attempt to bring some sense to the situation. Lucas muttered, his voice tight with worry. He'd always been the careful one, the voice of reason in our group.
"Relax, man, it's just an abandoned building." Jason's voice was calm, almost too calm, as if he was trying to convince himself as much as Lucas.
Jason, always up for a challenge, grinned. His eyes sparkled with reckless excitement, a spark that had gotten us into trouble many times. His eyes sparkled with reckless excitement. It was the look of someone who loved danger, who sought out the thrill of the unknown. He pushed open the rusted gate, the metal groaning like a death rattle. The sound echoed through the night, a haunting prelude to what lay ahead.
"Guys, look at this place!" The excitement in the voice was clear, a stark contrast to the eerie surroundings. "This is gonna be epic!" The words hung in the air, a bold statement in the face of the unknown.
Mia, phone already recording, pushed past him. She was always the one to capture every moment, no matter how scary. "Let's just stick together, okay?" The plea was a thin cover over the fear that gripped us all. "This place gives me the creeps." The words were a whisper, almost lost in the heavy silence of the night. Kayla, always the voice of reason, trailed behind. Her steps were careful, each one showing her unease. She had a bad feeling about this, and as we went deeper into the darkness, I couldn't shake the feeling that she might be right. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night, freezing us in our tracks. And then the whisper returned, louder this time, almost mocking. "You should have never come here." The air inside was thick with the smell of decay and something faintly sweet, like overripe fruit. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The silence was almost deafening, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves underfoot. Dust motes danced in the weak beam of Mia's flashlight. The light flickered slightly, casting eerie shadows on the ground. It felt like the forest was alive, watching their every move. They walked down a corridor. Peeling paint revealed water-stained walls. The walls seemed to whisper secrets of the past, stories of those who had walked these halls before them. A gurney lay overturned, its leather cracked and split. It looked like it hadn't been touched in years, a relic of a forgotten time.
John Doe admitted for...
Jason stopped, picking up a faded chart. He trailed off, his voice hushed. The chart was old, the ink faded and barely legible. It was a glimpse into the past, a piece of history that had been left behind.
"For what?"
Mia leaned closer, her camera focused on the chart. She wanted to capture every detail, every clue that might tell them more about this place. Jason shook his head, dropping the chart. It was clear that the answers they sought wouldn't be found so easily.
Doesn't say, "Hey, look at this."
He pointed to a faded map on the wall. The map was old, the paper yellowed with age. It showed a network of tunnels beneath the hospital.
Tunnels?
Tunnels? Why would a hospital have tunnels?
Lucas shivered. The thought of what might be hidden in those tunnels sent a chill down his spine.
Let's find out.
Jason grinned, his eyes gleaming. The adventure was just beginning, and he couldn't wait to see what they would discover. The air grew noticeably colder as they approached the basement door. It was as if the very essence of the place was warning them to stay away. The mist swirled around their feet, adding an eerie touch to the already unsettling atmosphere. The metal was cold under Jason's hand. He could feel the chill seeping through his skin, sending shivers down his spine. The door felt like it hadn't been touched in years, its surface rough and unwelcoming. He threw his weight against it, the hinges screaming in protest. The sound echoed through the empty space, amplifying the sense of dread that hung in the air. It was as if the door itself was reluctant to let them in. The stench down here was overwhelming. It hit them like a physical force, making their eyes water and their stomachs churn. The smell was a mix of decay and dampness, a testament to the years of neglect. Musty, earthy, with an undercurrent of something putrid. It was the kind of smell that clung to your clothes and lingered in your nostrils long after you had left. The air was thick with it, making it hard to breathe.
Do you ever get the feeling we're being watched? The question hung in the air, adding to the already palpable tension. They all felt it, the sensation of unseen eyes tracking their every move.
Mia coughed, waving her hand in front of her face. The air was so thick with dust and mold that it was almost suffocating. She tried to clear her throat, but the oppressive atmosphere made it difficult. "What are you waiting for?" The urgency in his voice was clear. They couldn't afford to stand around any longer. Every second they hesitated felt like an eternity. Kayla whispered, her eyes darting around the darkness. She could feel the weight of the shadows pressing in on them, making her heart race. The darkness seemed to be alive, shifting and moving just beyond the edge of their vision. The tunnel yawned before them, swallowed by inky blackness. It was a void, an abyss that seemed to go on forever. The thought of stepping into it was terrifying, but they had no choice. The only sound was the drip, drip, drip of water. It was a haunting rhythm, a reminder of the passage of time in this forgotten place. Each drop echoed like a ghostly heartbeat, a steady metronome beat counting down the seconds. It was as if the tunnel itself was alive, marking the moments until something unspeakable happened.
Come on, guys, what are you waiting for? The impatience in his voice was evident. They couldn't stand there forever, paralyzed by fear. They had to move forward, no matter how terrifying the unknown might be.
Jason, undeterred, stepped into the darkness. His heart pounded in his chest, but he knew they had to keep going. The abyss awaited, and there was no turning back now. The tunnel was narrow, the walls rough-hewn stone. The air grew thick, heavy, making it difficult to breathe. Mia's flashlight flickered, casting grotesque shadows that danced and twisted.
This is messed up even for you, Jason.
Lucas gasped, his voice echoing strangely in the confined space. Suddenly, Kayla stopped. "Guys, the door..." They turned. The entrance to the tunnel, the doorway they had just walked through, was gone. In its place was a solid wall of stone, cold and impenetrable. Mia's hand flew to her mouth, stifling a scream.
What's going on? This isn't possible!
Panic tightened its grip. Their footsteps echoed in the darkness, bouncing off the walls in a distorted cacophony. "We're going in circles," Kayla cried, her voice high with panic. Lucas spun around, his eyes wide with terror.
The tunnel, it's changing. It wasn't this narrow before.
Mia, filming blindly, stumbled. When she looked up, her blood ran cold. Jason, who had been walking beside her, was gone. His shadow, which had stretched long and distorted on the tunnel wall, was gone. A low, guttural voice, barely audible above the pounding of their hearts, echoed around them. "You're already lost!" Mia's flashlight sputtered, plunging them into near darkness. The walls seemed to pulse around them, the air thick and hot like the breath of some monstrous thing. Then, through the darkness, a faint red glow. An exit sign, barely visible, flickered at the end of a narrow passage.
There!
Hope surged through her. They surged forward, but the tunnel seemed to stretch, the exit always just out of reach. The ground beneath their feet shifted, the stones grinding together like teeth. Jason grabbed Mia's hand, pulling her through a narrowing passage. With a deafening screech, they tumbled out onto cold, hard pavement. They lay gasping on the cold ground, the night air stinging their lungs. Across from them, the imposing facade of St. Mercy Hospital loomed, silent and watchful.
What just happened?
Lucas stammered, his voice shaking. Mia checked her phone. The screen was dark. She tried to turn it on, but it flickered erratically. The only illumination, a distorted image of the tunnel, the walls pulsing. And then, a voice, a whisper, coming from the phone's speaker. "You're already lost!" The screen went dark.